Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that plays every Tuesday night. Last week, the party had its big conversation amongst themselves as they worked through all of the information they've been receiving over this whole time, talked about things that the party hadn't yet come together on, especially Raiken's time apart from the party in the Feywild, and what he did and with whom he interacted. They took a vote on what they would do about the chromatic dragons, the children of Tiamat, determining that they were going to put them to sleep for now, and then determine if they have a way to actually marshal the forces of the world to fight them in earnest within a year to root out and defeat forever Tiamat, goddess of evil. Evil goddess of dragons. They had some input on this discussion from the former champion of Bahamut, Shagrazir, or at least his spirit, who tried to shed a little bit of light on his reasons for handling the situation the way he did, in hopes of giving the party the ability to make these decisions now. And we learned that Raiken has apparently sworn some kind of oath to Zentharmil, which involves not dying while Leah still cares about him.
And also not letting Leah die.
And also not letting Leah come to harm. So yeah, I think that was, like, the major points. You guys did discuss a lot. You've discussed for a while. You've been using the telepathic bond, so it's been happening at the speed of thought. And I do believe that you are not yet done with the time allotted there, just because I'm saying that it's like 4 times faster than actually talking.
I think that we had decided that we were.
You are done, or you were
that
out
we were
of
done. That we were done. That we were out of the telepathic bond.
Oh, okay. Did I?
I think it had like just ended.
Oh, you're right. That was one of the last
when the
things I
dwarf
said.
came through.
Okay. Yeah. So you have the option to recast it. Jebel, you got the warning from Skith that this dwarf was approaching and entered the building. The party, you heard through the thick walls and thick door that he was greeted and led upstairs. You know from his description, or at least you believe from his description, that he is a cleric from the Temple of Pelor, right across the plaza from you. So, given that you have had this discussion, you're out of the telepathic bond, and you have these options before you, which is pretty much the sky's the limit, what would you like to do?
So I just want to. Could you summon players so that I can see the board?
Oh, goodness. Right. Sorry about that.
So it's a little bit more recap. I think so. We had established that the things that we wanted to next to, or like Laromendis had said through things that he was next thinking, was the we were going to go to see Vendar's sister with the musket and the thunder gun to have those studied so that they could be replicated. And I think that was Vendar, Laromendis, Raiken, and Jebel had expressed interest in being around there, because Jebel knew someone who might be able to assist with the actual design / reverse engineering. Raiken possesses the thunder gun. Laromendis wants to assist Raiken in making a case for the designs and everything being brought back, or being given to the Temple of Ione as well, in exchange for the ability to reverse engineer the thunder gun. And the Laromendis had said that he wanted to go to the Mages Guild to try and acquire a focus for Force Cage, and he would likely be using up some of his residuum in exchange. I don't remember if anyone had expressed a desire to accompany him. I think Cyrus had said that he did not want to be there.
I said I did not want to be at the Mage's Guild. Yes.
So, does anyone have different memories of that last bit than me? Or am I missing anything?
Hmm.
Okay, I think I'm done. with
Okay.
Vendar.
Send me the link.
Do I do
Yes.
that?
I think I was going with that group because of
Okay.
something.
Because of your uncle. You
Oh
you
yes,
knew
yes,
who
there was
was
something
someone who would likely be able to assist.
with
Like
the thing.
assist the
Oh yeah, with the guns.
Sparran government in their reverse engineering of the guns.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was trying to remember. I got a bit confused between that and your man that was skulking around the place that Vendor was trying to find. Couldn't remember if it was that. I was like,
I'm
but
still
yeah,
looking
no.
for him.
And I was I'd asked the party if there was anything else that I was missing with the very end of what we had talked about for people's next intentions. Vendar just said that he still needed to look for the guy. So I guess to Vendar, is there anything that we can do to assist you in that? To
Well,
speed
I
things
gave
up?
Jebel the description. I could give you guys a description too. If we don't see him, then I might try to have you send to him.
I out of character. I don't think that will give me enough to be familiar with him to send to him.
No, definitely not.
I thought you
So
could.
Imagine that the rule of thumb is if you want to send to somebody, you have to have spoken to them at some point in your life. The exception to this
there's
is
no way
that
for-
there are people in the guild who can pull enough information out of your mind to be able to send through you, which we have used in the past. That
I might
they
have to do that then.
does Cyrus still have use of his sending stone today?
You're the one that sent it to me, correct?
Yes.
Then yeah, I still have a charge in it today.
Then
So
would
long as I
Vendar
get
be
it
able
back,
to
I don't
utilize
mind
that?
sharing. You may, so long as I get it back.
Did you already buy me? I realized I didn't color everything right.
let me check. I know that I was in the middle of the transaction. Yes.
Okay. Some things will be a little off colored.
You can always send me a better version, and I'll just buy that too.
I don't think it's worth $8 for a few things that are colored differently.
I do. Character does not like showing up in my list, though. Yeah. Refresh this one. Anyway, if there's any distraction tonight, it's because Tailspire has recently implemented the beta version of its Hero Forge integration, and we're finally getting players' tokens in. I'm buying all my players' tokens and dropping them in as I can. See if any more of them came in yet. There's Cyrus. Why is the scrolling so slow? And there's Yuki.
When new tokens are added, this is one of the known issues, is that there's a frame drop.
Oh, I'm not moving my screen while I'm linking them. So I'm not noticing the frame drop.
I just meant like in regards to like scrolling slowly. If you were like scrolling in an in-game menu, that might be.
No, it's this menu scrolls slowly.
Okay.
Let's see here. Player permission, derec, make unique. Get rid of.
Nice.
Get out of here, old
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Yeah. Let's see. Player permission. Reto. Make unique. Gold Reto. Buy. Boom. Gaze, Cyrus, Jebel, Raiken, Laromendis, Leah, Lorelei. There goes your champion!
No, that's just regular. Oh, that is Shagger champion. I thought it was just regular Shagger.
I have another version of him where he was slightly more colorful in the armor, and I was like, that's not really in line with the game. And there's Vendar. Alright, everything will momentarily be good. GM tools, player permission, monk, make unique. Oop.
Now it's Sam just needs to make one.
It's also interesting because the token style is very different in Hero Forge from Tailspire. So everybody's just bigger.
You're very tall.
Yeah.
Everybody's just bigger.
I am small. I have no money.
Leah's like as big as Raiken now.
Like, oh, that's what that feels like.
Alright, so you have determined that the Sending Stone still has a charge in it. You have asked if Vendar can use it to do whatever.
And I have said yes, so long as I get it back.
That means it's actually sending coming from me.
Yes.
That's much better.
I would hope so.
He will know that it is coming from you.
It's true.
Just so you are aware.
Yeah, that's good. It's much
Quick,
better
send him a
than
cryptic message that says it's not from Vendar.
I thought I was gonna have to. Like I thought I was gonna have to use somebody else to send it and have to explain who I was trying to send, who's sending to him.
All right. What does everyone else intend to do?
Well, I'm going with all you guys.
I'll go with whoever needs a hand.
Leo? Cyrus?
What is there a group not going to? There's a group not going to the Majesty Guild, right?
So the people are going to the tower to see Vendar's sister. And then Laromendis has said that he needs to go to the Mages Guild. No one jumped at the chance to do that with him.
I mean,
So as far as he knows, he's going alone.
I'll
if
go.
no one
with-
else will go with you, I'll go with you. I just don't want you to having to pay higher prices because of me.
I know what things cost.
I'll go with Laromendis.
No one. Pause.
Sure.
You know what? I'll go, but I'll just wait outside.
All right. We will be telepathically bonded, and I think that after some of my discussions with Cyrus, I might have a way to tweak the spell a bit to make it last longer. Mechanically, at Laromendis' level up, he took Metamagic Adept, and one of the two things that he took was Extended Spell, which doubles the duration of a spell, as long as it's less than 24 hours.
Oh, if it were 23 hours.
It would go up to 24 hours.
Wow. No, I'm eating. The kitty wants attention.
All right. I'm going to cast the spell, and then I think we should go about our business. All of you may chat while I do this. Laromendis is busy for 10 minutes.
Well, I don't have anything to chat about. What about you guys?
We just did a lot of that.
Yeah, we just kind of had the chat of our lives, didn't we?
Had a big one. Alright then. So, let me just divide things up here. Laromendis, Yukikaze, Cyrus. I believe I heard we're going to go to the Mages Guild.
Yep.
Okay. Vendar is going to the tower.
But they're gonna have her because Laromendis wanted to come with us to the tower to.
So, I mean, to save time, if Raiken is content making the case for things going to the Temple of Ione, preferably with the study of for both the musket and the thunder gun in exchange for the thunder gun, but at the very least, the thunder guns would have to go there. Then that's fine. And if any questions come up, we are telepathically linked.
Okay, so you are reinstating your telepathic link, and then you are all heading to the tower to deal with the muskets, and then splitting up?
I think he just said that, no, we are going to split up. He trusts Raiken to make the case instead of him.
So, I guess that was a question to Raiken, was if you feel comfortable making the case and sticking to your guns, as it were, then I think that's fine, and it will save us time if I don't need to be in two places at once.
What, making my case that everybody should get the gun?
In exchange for being able to study the thunder gun, the designs and anything that's learned about the musket and the thunder gun are shared with the Temple of Ione.
I mean, I'm not the greatest with words, but yeah, I'll certainly try.
The lowest that you can accept is that if they study the thunder gun, everything that they learn about the thunder gun and its design and construction must go to the Temple of Ione. The musket we don't get to have a say in, as it belongs to Vendar, and he's free to do with it as he will. But they should not study the thunder gun if they are not going to share that information with the Temple of Ione. We can find somebody else who will study it.
All right, I will.
I would not lead with the lowest that we will accept.
What's the highest we'll accept?
We want both of the guns, the designs and everything that's learned about their construction and everything to go to the Temple of Ione. In exchange, for the ability to do that with the Thunder Gun. That is the
Okay.
ideal scenario. It will make it so the world can be better prepared for what will need to happen in a year.
All right. Vendar, are you going to are you gonna follow that then instead of just giving them the gun automatically?
I mean, he's free to
Already
give the
given him
gun however he wants. I'm
Well, then
saying,
how do we have no way of trying to go for that first that offer then?
I mean, if you lead with that as the condition for the Thunder Gun,
Very well. I will do my best.
good luck. Out of character. I'm very glad to not be involved in that negotiation. Laromendis is not charismatic. Very bad at all of that.
Well, I mean, at least Raiken does have that going for him. He's decent persuasion and
And
intimidation.
if you do need me, we will be telepathically linked.
Okay. So you spend 10 minutes, you telepathically link the party. Yes, now?
Yes.
Yes, no.
Vendar,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I would like to join you in this endeavor.
Sure.
But wait, but the Bender's the one going. He can kill his sister, but maybe he can convince her. Can't Bender like sell the fleas off a dog?
I've been very good at that.
I mean, if Vendar believes that it is also reasonable for both of them to go to the Temple of Ione, then he is free to assist in making that case. I don't think that it's fair to make it a requirement on either gun, since he is free to do with his possessions as he will.
Yeah, this is my Thunder Gun.
Okay. So, the...
No, I'm good.
Okay. The last two questions I want before I split y'all up, answers to is, did Cyrus give Vendar the Sending Stone?
Yes, I will have handed it over.
Is Vendar using it now or saving it for later?
I'll save it for later. I'll see if I can spot him in the next visit to the tower.
Okay.
If not, then I'll send.
And, I guess I'll just say, did you have any interest in the dwarf that came in, or are you leaving?
I have no personal interest.
Okay.
Oh, I do want to go talk to my mother real quick.
You said there was a dwarf coming in?
The dwarf priest.
They came inside and went upstairs.
Yes, none of you saw this happen. You were told by Jebel that his familiar saw a dwarf coming in, and right after you were given this information, you heard the sounds of this happening, or sounds that might be this happening, outside of the room you're in. So none of you has seen this dwarf. I just wanted to know if it was meaningful at all, and if not, which is totally fine. Cool. I was exploring all possibilities here.
Yeah, I would ask Jebel, do you familiar have a description of the dwarf?
I believe he described what he was wearing.
Yes,
of
he
character.
he described the vestments of the Church of Pelor, the Temple of Pelor. It was
Right, okay.
it was like flowing white and gold.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I'm like, well, I'm sticking with Vendar still.
Okay.
Leah does not want to interfere with anything regarding Pelor. She's still kind of holding on guilt.
Alright. So Vendar's gonna pop upstairs to speak to his mother. Who is going with him when he goes to the tower? Precisely, that is Leah and Jebel and Raiken.
Raiken's going with them, yeah.
Yeah.
To
No,
the tower?
Yugi Kaze?
No, I'm going with Laromendis to the Mages Guild.
Okay, making sure. Yeah, sorry. The tower is the palace. Okay, so you three are gonna head off. Whoops, bye. All this. If I can get... There he is. Yugi Kaze, get down from there.
He likes to be tall.
Yeah, they always do. Are you guys just gonna, give Vendar a few minutes to be alone with his mother, or are you gonna follow him up there?
You guys have to pull, or just have to pull me in.
Oh, yep. Babooshk.
Raiken will just wait for him to come back down.
Okay. And just let me
I'd wait.
know if anybody doesn't have control over their token. I think I gave everybody control of their tokens. Alright, so I'll quickly do a scene here with Vendar. There are servants moving about the house, carrying, trays, dishes, foods, and things of that nature. Linens, anything needed for the basic upkeep of the home as it's been used for the evening and for breakfast. I believe, also lunch, that's right. It's now, about 2:30 in the afternoon. That's correct. 2:30 in the afternoon. So you head up and knock upon your mother's door. She calls you to enter, and as you reach for the door actually opens, and a servant moves out with a silver tray under her arm, and you can see that your mother is seated within the room. Where's the table, I guess? Seated within the room, drinking some tea. It seems some kind of beverage from a nice cup standing on her table. And she looks over and, smiles a little placidly at you and says, "Good afternoon, Vendar."
Afternoon, Mother.
Are you off to some new errand today?
I'm about to go see Lilith again in the tower. I was just there a couple hours ago, and I spoke to the kids that I sent here. And they wish to apologize for their rude behavior, and if the offer still stands, they would like to accept it.
You, see that she smiles kind of sideways and looks very, sympathetically, at you as you convey this information to her, and she, kind of shakes her head, says, "Well, I understand the, difficult position they were in, so they didn't need to apologize to me. But you can tell them that my offer to them will always stand, whenever they're ready to accept it."
Thank you. I will tell them. Yes, they were the children of merchants, so they have difficulty accepting generosity and what's the charity.
As a family of mercantile myself, I can kind of understand.
But I was able to convince them that there are no strings attached to this offer. You're simply trying to help.
Our family has earned more than its share of wealth in your lifetime alone, so I feel that it is only right that I share that with those who need it. In this case, those children. And if they need that as proof, I can convey that to them as well.
Right. Thank you, Mother. It's good to see you.
She smiles. Says, I hope you'll join me for a beverage this evening, perhaps.
Hopefully I can. I don't know how quickly we need to leave.
Don't move too quickly. Make sure that you rest yourself and heal. How have you been lately? I hardly even got a chance to ask after your well-being. How do you feel? Are you comfortable with the people you travel?
Yes. I even consider most of them to be my friends. Though we have some issues sometimes, but I rather like our party. There's been a lot. We've done a lot in not very much time, and there's a lot more to do.
Indeed.
But we have a plan on how to move forward, and we've all agreed, so.
Well, I just want you... I feel I should let you know that if you ever feel you need to talk about all the challenges that you and your friends face all the time, it can really help to talk about it, to other people. And there is a acolyte at the temple who has been coming around to speak with me and lately your brother. And it has done wonders, especially since the incident with your father. I owe a great deal of my recovery to the temple.
Well, I'm glad they help you.
I bring it up because he's here now. If you wanted to talk to him, he's with your brother at the moment. I mean, if you're not busy. He'll be back in a few days, otherwise. Or you could find him at the temple. I can give you his name.
Okay. You give me his name and I'll think about it.
She gives you a name. It sounds dwarven. I'm currently trying to find it in my notes, but I'm having trouble talking and searching my notes at the same time. Okay, yeah, there it is. She gives you the name Tavan Ironhand.
Okay.
And she smiles and nods at you and, holds out a hand for yours.
I'll take it.
She squeezes your knuckles a little and then lets it fall. Says, say hello to your sister for me.
Of course. Love you, Mother.
Love you too.
I'll see you later.
She lifts her glass in farewell to you. So happy that they had a tricorn.
I am too.
Ooh. Oh. Getting lost in your own house.
Yep,
He started headed that way. I'm like, oh, he's off to see the brother after all.
Oh, I saw the stairs and I went and I was like, wait a minute, those aren't the right stairs.
Alright, so, yeah, I guess you all see Vendar just walk right by the room, without
okay.
saying anything to you.
Sorry, I saw the people outside and thought they were already outside. That's the wrong group.
Yeah, that's fair. It was just to make sure that the groups were a little bit more separated for ease of bundling people up.
I might know where the other... Yeah.
I will go into the room and let them know that I'm ready to the tower.
Okay. But everybody? Of course not. Need Leah. Wow. Alright.
I'll remind everybody,
surprising.
leave your weapons except for the thunder gun.
Oh, yes. So you are warned to disarm before heading to the tower. The three of you.
Fine. Nobody better touch my stuff.
So you're gonna
Nobody's
just
gonna touch your stuff.
put it up in your room? The rooms that you've been given?
Yeah.
Alright.
And
Leah?
I do have the magic to be super sure that no one's gonna touch your stuff.
Leah?
We make a mansion.
I'm gonna lay my wand here.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And, Jebel, you're just gonna take your staff? Oh, wow. It did bring up all the rats and the squirrel. Huh.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah, that's you right there.
It's just because it's in the shadow. I can't make out details. It's just a dark.
Make the staff
I
quicker, right?
would just have left, I suppose, left everything in bag of holding and left the bag of holding.
And left the
In
bag
the
of
room.
holding in the room? Okay. Cool. Just checking, just checking. So you've all left your stuff up in the rooms, and you head over to the tower, the Everwatch Tower. Tower of Everwatch. You are once again greeted by the... Maybe I should do this group first. I've already done one thing with Vin. What?
We have, so I have to run to get my cat medication in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I assume that they're going to take longer than that, which would probably be a reason to start with them instead of us, because we will also probably take longer than 30 minutes.
Okay.
Because we're a chatty bunch.
Yeah, but... Alright, alright. I'm a little concerned. But, sure. So you four, go up to the tower, and I described it to the others, but I'll re-describe it here. It is this white marble structure that in many places almost looks like, uncut stone, just hoisted, lifted, raised up out of the ground, grown there, and then hollowed out into a building with these massive gold doorway. You can see that as it rises up toward the clouds, there are parts where it like branches out into separated towers. You can see large swaths of the surface of it have been cut in and replaced with glass windowing. You imagine that from way up in the highest levels, you could see clear to the next nation. The guards at the door stop you as you approach, looking over your armors and unusual adventurer dress, and say, "Hello, citizens. What business have you with the tower today?"
I will pull out the writ that my sister gave me.
The man before you, half-elven, takes it from your hands, unfolding it, and reads it over carefully, and then hands it to the woman standing next to him, who does the same. And when she nods back at him, he says, "Very well. I will escort you to Our Lady Draknir. Our Lady, Lilith. Elgrin. Having trouble here. You are gestured inside, and you follow this soldier. He leads you down winding corridors and up grand staircases to about the 4th or 5th level of this tall structure. You notice that the entire interior is stone, either granite or marble, that is filled with large rooms behind large doorways, and the people around are generally well dressed. You see that it is a mingled group of acolytes from the Temple of Pelor, and aristocrats and ministers from the city, and many armored soldiers as you move through. But you are eventually brought to tall, dark wood doors that the soldier with you knocks upon, and when the word is given, he pushes open. You are led into a large library-like room with an open floor, surrounded with bookshelves, and across the curving wall, one of these large mosaic windows that when you look out, you can see the waters of the river below, snow-peaked mountains in the distance, and green fields cascading between. And before this window, a woman rises from the desk, whom you all recognize from last night as Lilith Drakner. And she approaches the group, carrying herself very regally, very haughtily, very straight-backed, and seeming to maintain an even composure on her face. And looking upon each of you, I imagine that if you're not carrying your bag of holding, then you must be holding this odd contraption in your hand.
Raiken has his bag of holding.
Cool. So you get stopped at the gate. As they're reading over the note, they look at the bags and say, "Is that magic?"
Yes, the bags of holding.
Okay, you can't go in with that. You'll have to leave that with me.
Question. Is this regarding all of the group?
Yes.
Or are we going like this just to exit this building?
Just to get in the building.
We're at the tower already.
Okay.
I didn't build the tower. It's big.
Ah,
And
in that case, I will.
There, that helps.
I will just hand him the bag. We'll get it back when we return. Yeah.
Of course.
Good.
But any number of weapons could be concealed within it, and we can't allow that inside.
Understandable.
Raiken will hand over his bag as well.
You extract the thunder gun from it. It is massive. And the people before you are going to be, like, reading the note that kind of vaguely describes the object and seeing what's in your hand and saying, that a weapon? It looks like a club.
Raiken's just gonna turn to Vendar and be like, "Wow, your sister really doesn't trust you, does she?"
I mean, I've kind of not been on the greatest terms after everything I've done. I'm trying to make up for it.
This has nothing to do with who you are. No one is allowed to bring weapons or anything that can reasonably conceal weapons into the building. That's a matter of safety for our royalty.
What does the writ actually say?
The writ describes your musket in the same words that you use to talk about it, which is like a piece of metal with a golden layer, the golden colored metal assembly for where the trigger is, and the way the stock is shaped and stuff like that. His is like yours, but way bigger. So the description that they have on the piece of paper doesn't really cover his. Not in the same way. They're looking at it. They asked him if it was a club.
Raiken's just gonna point to Vendar's, musket, and then point to his and say, "Big musket."
Okay.
It's a piece of machinery that we're here to show off to my sister, and hopefully
No, he
things
looks
over
at the
here just go
paper
off
again.
the
He
way
says,
you
"Okay,
will.
okay. No, I just didn't understand. It just didn't seem to fit the description of what I was supposed to let in. But if you tell me that these are the same object and your sister wants to see both, and the lady wants to see both of them, then she will see both of them. Anyway, so you are led up to the room. Lilith Drakner approaches the four of you and says, Vendar, I see you've brought the object in question.
Yes.
And just so that I can understand a little better, and so she gestures toward the table. She moved away from there is a person there with a quill in hand, says, so that it can be noted down before the engineers take a look. Can you describe its use?
Yes. So I'll take some packets that I brought in some bullets. So you take these packets and you pack them into the barrel
She
here.
takes a step back, like waving her hand in front of her face. Oh, foul.
Yes, sorry, they do not smell good, but they are explosive, and that's what propels the bullet here and allows it to function.
She kind of nods, still holding a hand in front of her mouth, and says, so it's magic?
It is not magic, actually. It is a fantastical piece of machinery that was created by rock gnomes.
She kind of nods behind her hand. Says, oh. Well then, I think that the science team will be most interested to study everything here, especially whatever that explosive packet is. It's gonna retreat back to the table and like shove things around until she pulls open a wooden hinged box, opens it, scoops out a bunch of papers from inside it, sets them on the table next to it, closes the lid, picks it up, hoists it over to you, and then lifts the lid and holds it out to you with unsteady hands, kind of leaning away. You can see her eyes are watering.
I can put the packets in here so you don't have to bear the smell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, she closes the lid and still kind of still waving her hand through the air to try and dispel it. She notices that the smell isn't dispelling, and then she looks over at the man with the even bigger version of the same thing. Says, oh boy, and what is that?
We call that one the thunder gun. It's very similar to the musket, but it makes a much bigger boom.
Better.
They're both as awful as they sound.
I see. And you would like us to study and replicate that for our army's use as well?
Slight stipulation.
That one does have a condition.
And what is that?
We are willing to give it to you to study and replicate. However, it is on the condition that the Temple of Ione is made aware of these weapons as well, and they get to study them and gain the knowledge of them so that other people may replicate them and use them.
She stares at you for a few moments, then looks to Vendar. Says, you would give the same technology to our enemies?
Well, that's up to you. You get the musket either way. But the thunder gun is not mine, it is Raiken's. And his condition is in order for you to study it, you pass the knowledge on.
I see. I think we'll be fine with just the musket then. Is it... as you have made it out to be something that can really change how we deal with our enemies? Is it so powerful, Vendar?
It is. If you would like to see a display of it, we can perhaps go someplace and I can show you it in use. It has a greater range than a bow and much more damage than a bow. It's slightly slower to use, as you have to reload it after every shot, but...
Well, there is a barracks for the guardsmen down below, which includes a training area. We might be able to use a test target there. A practice target, I mean to say. Yes, actually, I think that would be a good idea. I'm still a little skeptical of what you've said, so I want a demonstration. And she's going to summon the guard back in and have him lead the lot of you down. And you're led all the way back down to the ground floor, where you came from, and then through some side passages that he hadn't led you through before, until you come to an area that is enclosed but large, almost like a theater-sized area that you can see. They have chipped away the floor and then filled it back in with sand. And you can see that there are several places where they have target butts set up for archery. The whole room it's decently large. It's 50-60 feet deep, so you can see that people are able to get some good archery practice at varying ranges in. They've got butts set up at varying distances. They have a line to shoot from. And then on the other side of the room, they have racks of melee weapons and training targets, shaped like soldiers with, out of straw, holding wooden shields and wooden swords. And there's a few people dressed in the armor of the guards here, speaking jovially together while others are practicing, commenting on each other's technique and such. And as the group enters the room, several of them look up, momentarily seeing you come in, then go back to their talking, then do a double take as they notice that Lady Drakner is with you. And they nudge each other, and they all kind of salute, straightening up at her approach. The guard leads you over to the archery range, and she steps forward to the soldiers who are there and says, "We need a few minutes to test a weapon on your range, so if you could give us some space to do so. I'm told it's very loud, so let the others know that they should probably cover their ears." And they, salute and bow and scurry off, and you see them going amongst the other soldiers around who are now, forming up against the far wall and watching eagerly to see what this is all about.
Leah's stayed by the entrance inside the building.
So yeah, they're kind of moving toward you, but, staying close enough that they can see what's going on there.
Her very clear behavior of just avoiding distance and sound from this thing might be quite visible to some.
Mm-hmm. And after the range has been cleared, your sister waves a hand across the target butts that are there and says, "Please, demonstrate this weapon to me."
Okay. I'll load the gun.
She watches you. The person upstairs who was scribing with the quill is also there and is also watching with intrigue. You can see them kind of sketching out rudimentary diagrams of like the end of the tube and how the supplies go into it in a particular order. They watch with intrigue as you fit all that stuff into the gun. And then?
Make sure to cover your ears. It's quite loud.
Your sister takes a few steps back and brings her hands neatly up to the sides of her face, pressing unseen fingers to her ears.
I will aim the gun and shoot.
Okay. You shoulder the musket, take aim at the middle distance target butt, and fire. A gout of flame exudes from the end of the rifle, spraying sparks out across the floor that you can see bouncing ahead of you. The room cracks with the echo of this, the report of this rifle. And all the soldiers who were over there watching eagerly, kind of like nudging each other and joking, pointing and making comments, too far away for you to hear, suddenly jump and cover their ears, all as one. The ball flies true. You see a large black mark appear on one of the inner rings of the target you aimed for. Which quickly the blackness spreads through the target, and suddenly flames burst from the top of it, as the entire target butt is made out of straw. And very quickly the whole target's engulfed in fire, and black smoke is billowing toward the ceiling of the room. There's a cry, and several of the soldiers by the door, suddenly not laughing, run out of the room. They come back with buckets, and they douse the flames quickly. And Lilith, looking on with a mixture of intrigue and horror on her face, says, "Well, I've certainly never seen anything like that. And you say it's not magic?"
Nope, not magic at all.
Yes, I think that the scientists will be incredibly interested in studying this.
Does Raiken did bring Thundergun?
Yes, he's holding
Yeah.
it.
So I just turn and say, "You don't want to see that one?"
The Thundergun shoot. It is also quite impressive.
Very well. I imagine it will just be a bit more impactful version of that, but please, if you would care to demonstrate it, Dragonborn?
Do we want to shoot it in... Wait, is this outdoors?
No.
Yeah,
Do we want to shoot it indoors?
Is it dangerous to fire indoors?
well, you know how loud the musket was. The Thundergun is much louder.
I don't think that it would be wise to do this out where the people of the city could be bothered by the noise. At least in here, the stone walls of the tower are quite good at trapping the noise. But if your weapon is strong enough to shake the foundations of the Tower of Everwatch, I would be wary of doing so.
I very much doubt that.
Alright, well... If Vendar thinks it'll be okay...
Yes, everybody make sure to stand away from him.
Oh yes, definitely stand away. Raiken will begin to load 2 powder charges and 2 shots into the weapon.
You can, as you do this, you hear the furious scratching of the quill of the scribe away from you as they are making note of what it takes and how long, and again, referring to the diagrams they've drawn. And then
They're not supposed to be taking notes on this gun.
you shout that at them.
Yes.
they shudder, holding their notepad to their chest, and look at you wide-eyed. Say, I'm sorry. I thought we just couldn't have it.
I mean, if you take notes on it, then you already have a beginning to try to replicate it.
Raiken, just shoot the gun.
Very well, I will redact what I've written. You just see them, without breaking eye contact with you, drawing straight lines across their sheet.
Raiken knows that that really doesn't matter, but okay. He will...
It's my personal headcanon that the straight line is directly below and above the lines of text.
They don't know, they're not looking.
Raiken will put the gun up to his shoulder. He will aim, cock the gun, and say, "Fire in the hole!" and pull the trigger.
You see everybody gets their hands up to their ears this time. And it does not seem to matter. You pull the trigger, and as with the musket, a gout of flame exudes from the end of the rifle. This gout of flame seems to reach all the way to the farthest target, as you see the sparks bouncing among the sand. Everyone around you will also notice that as he fires, a semicircle of sand around him lifts up in a wave like water and splashes away from him. Roll your strength saving throw.
Ooh. God damn it.
And this massive dragonborn, who I imagine you are not armored right now.
I was going to say, that's the problem. He's used to firing at armored, so he's used to having that weight, that stability.
I am not armored. And I didn't even think about being like, can I armor? Can I put on my armor first?
Alrighty. Oof.
I'm debating on using my inspiration right now.
I mean, it's up to you.
I want to. I missed it just barely.
Okay.
Like, I rolled almost as low as I could with missing it. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
I beat it with just the roll, not even adding my strength.
Okay.
I rolled a 4 the first time. I rolled a 17 this time.
So, the room shakes, or at least it feels like it does. You feel the shock wave of sound physically pass through you as he fires this thing. The ripple of sand around him, you can now see that there are concentric rings pitted into the sand that he stands among. You do see him lower the rifle and like nod satisfactorily, and then his arm just sort of sags a little.
Wow.
As you were not used to taking the impact of this rifle without your armor.
Oh, I forgot that.
You feel bruised. But you managed to keep your feet. The target that you were aiming at is gone. There is target shrapnel all over the ground and all over the wall. Much of it is on fire.
Yeah, I imagine the targets that are on either side of it are at least half gone as well.
There's target smithereens everywhere. And, this time the buckets were already in hand, so a few soldiers quickly run out and douse the flames immediately.
I assume Leah is no longer alone in the doorway.
Yeah, several of them are now hiding behind the door frame, peeking around in. A bunch more people from out in the hallway are now also peering in to see what the hell is going on in here. And somebody finally makes their way over to Lady Drakner and says, "My lady, I was terribly afraid we were under some sort of magical attack." And Lilith turns and waves her hand placatingly in front of him and says, "No, we were merely having a newly invented weapon demonstrated to us. It might find use in the Asparan army. But that will be for the quartermasters to decide."
Yes, dear sister, as you can see, the Thunder Gun is quite impressive. And the stipulation that you must share any knowledge you learn of it with the Temple of Ione, I would suggest you do it anyway, because they're willing to accept only taking the information you learn from the Thunder Gun. Keep the muskets, the Spartan army can keep themselves. But they will likely share this with the Temple of Ione either way. If you take it first, and share it with the Temple of Ione, then you get a jump start on making and manufacturing this magnificent weapon for our armies.
For only $19.95, plus shipping. She looks out over the target range at the soldiers still kicking wet sand onto the smoldering smithereens of target butt, and says, I think the one that you're requiring me to share is the more dangerous of the two on its own.
It is true.
No.
But it's also typically harder to use.
We will accept the musket you have given us graciously and call it there.
Okay.
Your Dragonborn seems quite attached to his thunder gun.
I just want everyone to be on a level playing field.
She smiles politely at you as you say that, and then turns back to Vendar and says, "Thank you for bringing this to us, Vendar. I will make sure that the information and the objects get to the right people."
Of course.
And she signals her guard and scribe to proceed her out, and turns to go with them, but stops a moment, looking back at you, Vendar, and says, "Oh, by the way, Vendar, you have not yet earned the right to call me sister."
I apologize. Though before you leave, our gnomish friend here has an uncle who is a rock gnome, who, if you are willing to employ, might be able to speed the research up on the musket significantly.
If he wishes to provide information on how to get in contact with his relative, I would accept it. But we do have gnomes on the engineering team.
Yes, I thought as much. That he wished to extend the offer.
Very well. He looks to Jebel. How might I get in contact with your uncle?
I believe he's living in, and I name where I think he's living. All you have to do is look for a rock gnome by the name of Dondo Grouts.
I we'll send messengers there to see if we can find him and make use of him. Is there anything else you need, Vendar, or friends?
I can't
don't
think of
believe
anything.
so. Can I roll to if I haven't been keeping an eye out for Tyler?
Yes, absolutely.
It's investigation.
Yeah.
Well, it's passive again, 16.
Okay.
It seemed to roll higher than that.
Alright. What's your passive spot?
My passive investigation is 16.
What's your passive perception?
27.
27. Okay. Well, you haven't had much time to, thoroughly look around, so your passive investigation will do there. Your passive perception, again, you're seeing glimpses, you're catching glimpses as you move around and talk with your sister and give this demonstration of any number of people who could potentially be him, but none of them, and you're not able to really get good long looks to be certain either way, but none of them jumps out as somebody that you would need to immediately run after because you are so sure it's him.
Okay.
But this is a big place, and you are not visiting every room on every floor of it, so if he's within, there are places he could yet be. Remember that you still have the sending stone from Cyrus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that.
Gave it to you. Might as well. Alright. So, if there is nothing further that you need Lilith Draknir for, she is going to excuse herself from your presence and head back out the way you came, leaving you in the care of the soldier who showed you in.
I'll let the engineers, the people taking notes, know everything I know about the packets and the bullets.
Oh, so you're gonna stop the scribe and just start describing what you know about those?
Yeah, I will say
Okay.
the bullets are made out of a soft metal. I believe it's called lead.
Interesting. Many uses for that. And the packages that you place in before?
And they're covered in some sort of grease. And on the inside of the packets, there's some sort of powder. Not entirely sure what it is, but hopefully you'll be able to determine what it is and reproduce it with study.
You see that they write these notes on their pad. Grease on the outside, black powder on the inside, non-magic, substance unknown, verbiage like that. And they say, I will pass these notes on. You can see that their face is contorting somewhat as they're catching strong whiffs of the stuff from your hands.
Yes, the grease smells terrible.
You got to hold on to your thunder gun, Raiken.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Raiken will
Try
enjoy
very
it.
hard to sell it.
I mean, he didn't really care about selling it. I mean, it was whether they were going to agree or not.
You can still make a case for it, you produce these things and arm your military, they're going to be found fairly shortly afterwards, and reverse engineered anyway, so you're already getting a head start in production and all of that. This is like things like that.
Yeah. Raiken's alright.
To be fair, I did sort of make that argument, and she still declined.
Okay.
I mean,
I just got back. The last thing I was around for was he fell on his ass.
Raiken
he
did not
used
fall on
yeah.
his
He
ass.
used inspiration to not fall on his ass.
Ari actually
That sounds
used a mulligan for me.
Oh.
If you're able to look back.
Okay, I see it.
But I mean, the Thunder Gun, I feel like it made a case for itself, and she still wasn't interested.
Apparently, it wasn't impressive. Yes, I did make the case that it was likely that it would make its way to Ione, the Temple of Ione, either way, via you, and that this would be a jump start on.
Oh, I would have gone with it. Would have made its way to another military after an encounter with it in the first place.
If they don't take it, then there's not going to be an encounter. Right now, there's only one.
Well, in any event, Lilith seemed convinced that knew what her choice meant and made the one that she wanted.
Yep.
So, is there anything else you want, or the group assembled here might want, to try to do in the Tower of Everwatch?
On our way out, I would like to see if I could go speak to the kids again and tell them that the offer is still available.
So you express this to the guard who's escorting you, and he sighs and says, "Ah, you're the ones that Subeth was talking about."
I'm sure only good things.
He blinks at you as a response. You wish to go to the scullery, then?
Yes.
He rolls his eyes and says, "Very well. I will be escorting you the whole way." And the four of you are led to the scullery, which is where a large room that seems to have water being pumped to it and drained out of it, where linens and clothing are being laundered in one part of the room, and in another part of the room, dishes are being scoured, and food waste removed. There are a couple dozen people going in and out and working within here, two of whom are children that, well, Devil, you recognize them because you saw them yesterday.
Yep.
Leah and Raiken.
Earlier today.
Was it? Yeah, earlier today? Wow, God. Everything, that's right, it was earlier today. You saw them earlier today. Leah and Raiken, you do recognize these children. It takes a moment. Your mind, it's like, I know I've seen these faces before somewhere. A few months back, they were the ones that you saved from the griffin, just as Vendar had described to you. And
so far back, I can't even remember.
It was an interesting scene, I'll tell you that.
It has been like 3 years.
It's been a long time.
I'm sorry, I have the benefit of having made the story, so it all stays pretty clearly in my mind, or at least a lot of it. But in any event, so these were the children that you had rescued from the caravan that had been attacked at the crossroads by a griffin, The young girl had been attacked by the griffin, and you had killed it. Or rather, you had gotten her out of the wreckage there, and she told you that you needed to find her brother, Jonas, and you followed tracks and traces of items dropped from the air to find him in a tree, or a set of trees that had been drawn together into a makeshift eyrie for this griffin that had little griffinlings who were chewing on this poor boy. And so you got the boy out of the nest with teleportation. You killed the mother and a second griffin that came to help. And then Leah went up into the nest and killed the griffinlings.
Well, I mean, out of character, lied about doing that.
I already didn't know that, so I wasn't going to say it.
Oh, the players knew.
I don't know.
I already told you I
Left
don't
in the scarf
remember
and
anything, so
that.
I don't even remember this. I kind of remember griffins. I can't remember what happened with them.
In any event, you enter the room, and you begin crossing it as you did earlier today, Vendar, toward these kids. And, there's again a bit of a commotion throughout the room as these people in adventuring clothing, or perhaps strange aristocrats, are in a place where you truly don't belong, and they're marveling at your, the jangles and bangles of your outfits. And the kids, take notice of the talking, the commotion around them, look over their shoulders, and you see the young woman rolls her eyes and sighs and says, "You again?"
Yes, I spoke to my mother, and I'll pass on to what she said and let them know that the offer is always available.
She keeps a pretty straight face, looking at you, and says, "Okay, thank you." The young boy, Jonas, next to her kind of gets a little bit excited about it. Leah, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, hi. Sorry I wasn't here earlier. Was a bit of a family drama.
She kind of looks over you as the source of the voice, and the rest of you says, "Oh, great, they're multiplying." She steps forward up to you, Leah. She looks to be, I believe she was just a little bit older than you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have an age written down in my notes. She was young, but I think she was 15 or 16.
I'm sorry, you don't remember me?
She like grimaces at you a moment, and then kind of cracks kind of a sly smile. She says, "No, I remember you. How have you been?"
Yeah, ups and downs.
With these guys?
Yeah, you would think mostly downs.
I did, actually.
Hey.
I'm glad to know it isn't all downs. Anyway, no, I get it. It's fine. I wasn't exactly friendly to, Vendar. Or she kind of says like she doesn't quite remember earlier, so I'm just glad you didn't have to see that. I think that our meeting was pretty brusque last time. She kind of like tilts her head to one side, and her hair kind of falls across part of her face as she kind of looks at you. Says, "I'm Laren.
Leah.
I'm glad to meet you again."
Likewise, and I'm happy we could help solve your brother's problem. She sends a glance towards his new leg.
He's like standing only on one leg. You can imagine it is the new leg, and just sort of like he's got his hands behind his head and he's just beaming. She says, "Yeah, a lot of people had offered to fix that problem for us, but Mom always said everything comes with a price, even if people try to tell you it doesn't.
Is that so?
She'd never been wrong before, but she did get eaten by a griffin, so maybe that should have been my hint.
I'm sorry about that.
She says... She sighs, says, I've done my crying.
It never gets easier. I lost my mother when I got born, so I don't even remember her. But I still think about it from time to time.
She kind of rolls her head from side to side. She says, no, it gets easier. You find more space around the pain as time goes on. But at first, it's everything. But Mrs. Drakner has offered us a place in her home, and so we won't have to be scrubbing dishes anymore, if we don't want to.
That's great news.
Yeah, it's unexpected, but it's good. So, you know, I wasn't grateful until this morning, but I think now that it's been forced down my throat, I can say, truly, thanks for saving us before. I'm told that I don't owe you my life, and I'm happy to say that.
No, indeed. A lot of people will offer us their lives if we ask them that. This is just what we do.
You're weird people. I like your hair.
Oh, thanks. I can tell that you're a very strong woman. I think it will be do fine.
She kind of like turns her face a bit away and brushes the hair back behind her ear and says, please, I don't want to think I'm a woman yet. I certainly don't want any of them knowing.
Well, in my experience, it comes with the responsibility and not the age.
She turns back a bit and again smiles a little crookedly. Says, yeah. Well, thank you for saying so.
You're lucky you have one unruly boy to deal with.
You've got more, don't you? These three, at least.
Oh, there's more where that came from.
Jonas, like, puts his other foot down, like, balls his hands in a fist and says, hey! I'm not unruly!
Yeah.
I just share a look with her.
She smiles before turning to Jonas, pushing a finger into his chest and says, yes, you are! You're so unruly you can't even stay dry! And as she pushes against him, his foot hits the basin of dirty clothing and he tumbles into the water. They both laugh.
I laugh with and then try to hide it behind my mouth.
He climbs out, sopping wet, and tries to hug her with his wet clothing. Screams. She turns back, you know, as he's still, like, wrapping himself around her waist. And she's, like, trying to push his shoulders away, and she says, you know, smiling through gritted teeth, says, but yeah, thank you, really, for everything. I don't want to get in the habit of expecting anything like that. So, just know that right now you guys are exceptions in my book.
Well, I'm glad. And I hope you will find peace in your new life.
hadn't thought about it as... But... I guess... Yes, it is. Now. And Jonas, like, still now fully, like, arms ringed around her waist. You can see, like, the wetness transferring from him and, capillarying up her clothing. It just says, "New life! New life!" We'll go see Draknir's this evening, probably. Gotta get him cleaned up before then. Presentable. In any event, Draknir, Leah, Jebel, Dragon.
Nod.
So does Leia.
Does Dragon also nod?
Yes.
Thanks for everything. Still feels weird. But I have to go get him cleaned up. Thanks for stopping by, though.
Surely. Don't let us interrupt you too much.
We'll see you around.
I have a feeling that's true, she says, rolling her eyes.
You're part of the family now.
Oh, good. Is she going to make us go by Draknir?
I doubt it.
Good. It's a weird name. Too much power, you know?
Yeah, it was perfect for my father.
Sure that's true? She says, unsure how to respond.
It's alright, he was a bastard.
Most people are not aware of who your father really was. So, she goes... She kind of looks really surprised, honestly, at you and says, I mean, I guess that's probably true. He was the greatest merchant the world has known. I guess you don't get to be that way without being a bit of a bastard.
You have no idea. Let's leave it at that.
Sure. Okay, then. Anyway, I gotta go.
Yeah,
She
you're around.
awkwardly excuses herself and pushes past you and out into the hallway. They're both dripping water onto the stone floors as they go. You hear a squeak and a voice outside goes, "Hey! Not in the hallway!" And finally, the guard who has been escorting you rounds the door frame to look in, looks around at everything, and says, "Is your business concluded?"
Yes. We are ready to leave now.
Very good. As he waits for you to approach and then leads you on out of the building, or toward the exit, he says, "Was it necessary to push the child in water?"
His sister did that.
In
You're
any
not kidding.
event,
It's true. Kids are just kids.
he actually kind of looks over his shoulder at you as you say that, and you see him kind of like seem to think about it a moment, and then sort of rolls his head on his shoulders and says, "Alright then. I just figured it was normal aristocratic bullshit, picking on the little kids."
Oh no. They're friends of ours.
At that, he cocks an eyebrow, but again, thinks about it a moment and rolls his head on his shoulders and says, "Alright then." In any event, Thank you for visiting us here at the Temple of Everwatch, Tower of Everwatch. May the sun god smile upon your day.
Back at you.
He gives a curt salute, and then gestures to his companion, who holds out bags of holding.
Raiken will take his.
You see that there's like a small slip of parchment attached to, like, just poking out of the top lip of it. That just says Blue Dragonborn. Or...
Wait, would it be able to put
Brown
anything in the
Dragonborn?
lid? Would it be able to put anything in the lid when it's spell locked?
They
You
can
get it
just
re-arcane locked after it lost that in because yours lost it in the Beholder fight. Did you ever get it re-arcane locked?
Oh, right, it lost the locking. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I guess it didn't.
Because I don't think that anyone's actually asked Laromendis to do it.
No, that's true. Nobody has. And I don't think that anybody got them relocked by any other wizards either.
I know, it just slipped our mind, I guess.
So yes, there is a slip of paper just sticking out the top, like folded over the edge, and it contains like a very curt physical description of you. It's like blonde-haired girl, black streak, tall brown dragonborn.
When Leah reads it, she just mumbles to Lorelai, is that here is going to be my identification now?
She like reads the slip of paper in your hand and says, "Yeah. Small blonde girl, black streak. That's you."
And we're just
I mean, they're not wrong.
crumbles the paper and slips it into the bag.
Ah, don't be like that, small blonde girl, black streak.
You know I can flick you, right?
She like narrows her eyes, says, "You wouldn't."
I threaten with like a flicking finger.
She darts a few more feet away, draws her little sword, says, "Hey."
Oh, speaking of that, did no one check her weapons at all?
She was invisible the whole time.
Oh, fair.
She wasn't gonna give him up. Kidding. But she has the ability to just not be there.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to ever work. Like taking the weapon from a sprite is, you don't really try that.
I mean, somebody might.
Yeah.
They just didn't need to because they didn't know she was there.
True.
I need your thumbnail sword, please.
I'm sorry, what did you call it?
A thumbnail sword.
He just points it at you and says, "I can pry up your thumbnails with it. Bet that'll feel good."
Hey, I thought we became friends.
She, quickly, like, flits up to you and, like, pokes you right on the end of the snout with the sword. Says, "Nope." Flies back over to Leah.
Trust me, she
Roll
would
for
threaten you
damage.
even. she would threaten you even if you were friends. So.
Oh man, she got a whole 1 point of damage.
Damn it.
Okay, concentration check.
And you're not wearing your armor, so you can't use armor mastery. You can't nullify it. You got like this little puncture wound on your snout. It stings.
Tiny speck of blood.
Yeah. A little bit of lightning crackles off of it. Lightning just starts crackling out of the hole and you deflate like a balloon. Look at this badass armor.
armor he's not even using right now.
No, he's not. But that's okay. That is a really cool bow, though.
Oh, look at that bow.
Look at that bow. Alright, so. Is there anything else you guys wanted to do before meeting back at the lodge? Just really quickly.
Raiken's good.
Okay. So that whole thing took maybe 2 hours of time talking to people and showing off the rifle and everything, okay?
Alright.
I will send once I get back to the room, and I'll write that to you to get over the bathroom real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna deal with the other guys. We'll deal with... You're not back at the lodge yet. We'll deal with you getting back to the lodge after I do this scene.
Okay.
Alright, so, the three of you are two cool guys and bleh, are walking...
What's the bleh?
Blair.
Oh.
Laromendis is not a Hero Forge token.
Yeah, not your roger. He's the bleh. You and your two friends head down the tiers to the next tier down to the Mages Guild. This building is, you know, fancy compared to the buildings around it. What's happening here? Oh, okay, cool. Compared to the buildings around it, but you recognize it because you've been here a couple times. As you head up to the door, you do notice that there is a sign posted over it that says, customer services currently unavailable. Please return tonight to speak with the Archmage.
Yeah. Guess that'll make the trip short.
I wonder what happened.
Was it the tripping? The girl that was in here last night seemed to be a little clumsy. Perhaps she broke something.
Rude.
I hope everyone's fine.
too.
Laromendis doesn't know anyone in there, and so doesn't feel it would be appropriate for him to barge in and try and, you know, deal with things through not normal channels.
I mean, you don't exactly have a personal relationship, but you have met Archmage Theranethian on multiple occasions.
That is true.
You could send to him as a suggestion. If you wanted to.
You want me to use a 5th level spell slot, don't you?
Yes.
Did you have to burn all your 3rds and 4ths on sending already?
I think it was the telepathic bond.
No, there were 2. The telepathic bond's a 5th level spell.
No.
There were 2 locate persons, which were locate creatures, which were my 2 of my 4th level spells. I have used 4 sentings today, so that went through 3rd and 4th.
Nice.
Between those and the locate creature.
You, my friend, need a wand of sending.
That sounds expensive. Walter, is that expensive?
Very expensive, sir.
Thank you, Walter. So sure, I will send to him.
Okay. You send to Theranethian.
Let me just. I guess, gist wise, if that'll be easier than me constructing the thing, I'd like want to acquire focus for Force Cage, trading Residuum. If you're familiar with that from Nalia, otherwise it'll be a longer conversation. I can pull up where you can actually.
I see.
Get that. Is issue there, or like shall I come back tonight, as sign says? But I will. I'll type it up. But that's basically what I want to convey.
Okay. You receive back a message almost immediately that just says, "Wait by the door."
Okay.
And within about a minute, the door opens inward, and Theranethian is there. You can see his hair is just a little out of sorts, and he's slightly out of breath. He says, "Oh good, you're here."
Is everything all right?
Very all right, but you wanted to discuss Residuum.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to discuss Residuum with you.
Excellent. That will make this conversation easier. Laromendis has a smile.
He also smiles. You're both smiling as though you're getting something from the other.
Everyone leaves the transaction happy. Everybody wins.
It's true.
I would like to roll insight when he said nothing's wrong. Just to see if he's, being cheeky about it.
Sure, roll it.
That's the wrong die. That's the right die. Alright, not looking good. Let's see what the stats say. Seven.
Seven.
7.
He's
7.
happy.
Yeah, he just seems a little out of breath, that's all. It doesn't seem like he's hiding anything. He just seems like he's just a little strained, like he had to run down here from an upper level.
He did show up fairly quickly after the sending, I think, right?
Yeah.
Alright.
It took a little under a minute for him to get down there, so whatever he was doing, he stopped and ran all the way down.
I follow him in.
Okay.
I follow in because I don't see the other person around.
And you continue not seeing the other person around. Yukikaze, you follow in as well?
Yeah.
Okay. The three of you enter the Mages Guild. Again, within, it's fairly dimly lit. There's just a candle here or there, lighting up certain work areas. A lot of the light inside is coming from the front and side windows of the building, and there are these, whimsically draped curtains around, sectioning this ground floor room into separate little alcoves and spaces for whatever they are for. And he walks around and leans against the side, leans onto the top of the desk, but from the side as opposed to from behind, and you kind of see him shuffle his foot and push some items back behind the desk. And he seems to be putting on an air of casualness that he's not feeling. Very well. You had asked a question, you had wanted to pose an intellectual question about this residuum and spellcasting, force cage.
So, it's not so much an intellectual question about that. I wish to acquire a focus so that I might cast Force Cage. I do not have normal funds to purchase that with, though, and I was hoping to be able to trade some residuum for it.
He seemed, when you first corrected him, like he had misunderstood something and he was upset. But as you get to the wanting to trade him residuum for it, you see the spark return to his eye. He says,
Yeah.
Yes, that should be perfectly reasonable. You want to cast Force Cage. I believe that requires rubies, ruby dust.
Yes. Sam cannot remember the number. It's
1,000 GP worth.
1,000? Okay.
Yeah.
That is something along those lines.
I believe it's 1,000 GP worth of ruby dust.
Which is such a weird focus.
Hold up as a little sack o' dust. And be like, this is 1,000 gold worth of dust, and it traps
1,500. It is 1,500.
Oh, 1,500. Well, excuse the shit out of me.
You hold a slightly larger bag.
Oh,
just, a wind picks up, some of the dust pulls out of the bag. Oh no, it doesn't work.
Oh no. Whatever, shall we? Very well. This is, of course, if you'll just wait here a moment while I, go to our, reagent storage.
Laromendis nods.
And, he turns and, walks off behind the desk, momentarily, tripping over something behind it. You hear some, like, hollow tin bangs and the scattering of small items. And he quickly catches himself and picks himself up. Damn it, Urza! I'll be right back. And he, gives a swift kick to something. You're clang, clang, clang! And disappears behind a curtain. Leaving you in this otherwise quiet room for, about 3 minutes.
Okay.
In case there's anything to be said in that time.
I look around. Are we like the only ones around in this area?
In this area. What do you mean? What do you mean when you say area?
How many people do I see out and about?
Oh, out and about. The city seems very normally
in the
busy.
Tower.
In the mages.
Not the tower. The guild.
The guild.
In the building, which we are in.
As far
where I can see.
As you know, as far as you are currently aware, he appears to be the only one around besides you.
Okay.
You don't hear any telltale noises at the moment that indicate the presence of any other mages, personnel, or patrons.
Okay.
If there is nothing...
Does that strike me as odd?
Not entirely. Okay. You know that Nalia operates the Mages Guild in Volinar, and that whenever Claire is not there, she is very much alone. They are the only two that work there.
That is fair, yeah.
And you know that Claire was recently elevated to leader of Bromdor, so she is not in the Mages Guild at all lately. It is just Nalia running that Mages Guild.
Does need a new assistant.
You know that it doesn't work exactly this way everywhere. You know, especially like in Tuca, there were several mages at all times, but they also didn't act as archmage/advisors to the ruling class there, since the ruling class in Tuca was the committee, the council, excuse me. So they had in their eyes, they had their bases covered without relying on an archmage. Archmage, it is an acknowledgement of level of competency with magic, yes, but more than that, it is a political title. So Nalia being the Archmage Bromdor means that she is the one mage there who has any level of political authority, and that usually, especially in Bromdor, just means that she has the ability to get an audience with Lord Erkin whenever she wants, and give him any advice magically that she deems fit, but she does not, pass any decrees or anything. All of that still came from Sivin.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff that you are intimately familiar with because you lived there.
Yeah.
So you know that Theranethian is the Archmage here in Aspara, so he directly informs any magical decisions and understanding that the crown here, Empress Katarina Belgrin, has pertaining to her role leading this country. So if it's so it's easy for you to say, this is just like the setup down in Volinar, same deal, cool.
Yeah.
So you personally probably doesn't bother. You don't know definitely that there are usually more people here. You just know that you've been told by your compatriots that there is somebody else who has been here on occasion.
And so I guess we passed through here, I guess, yesterday, and I passed through here one more time. There didn't seem to be, a lot of people out and about.
No, but this Mages Guild seems pretty quiet, at least the times that you've been here. You know that when you passed through yesterday, there was a big wedding going on, so nobody was down here shopping magical supplies.
Cool. And also there's a sign on the door that says don't enter.
Right now, there's a sign that says don't come in, call back later.
Cool.
Yeah. So, like, it's very reasonable for it to be empty right now.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah. You have specifically told me that Laromendis did not spend a great deal of time dealing with Aspara particularly.
Yeah, he mostly just passed through. And he also probably doesn't have a lot of time spent specifically dealing with the Mages Guild outside of what he would be required to do.
It didn't seem... it seemed like that's how you were playing him, so that's kind of the information I've been running by you, is he's not specifically familiar with how this Mages Guild functions, because it's just not in his... It's not in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it is not a thing that he has expressed enough interest in the past to care to know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Cool.
Oh yeah. It's quiet. Seems fine, though. Alright. If there's nothing else... Yuki?
Nope, nothing on my end.
Okay. Leah? Not Leah.
Cyrus.
Cyrus?
I'm good.
Okay. I will say Yuki one more time, just because you're sure?
Yeah, I'm not very magic. I'm just here to keep an eye on Cyrus and Laromendis in case they need a hand. So
all right. Well, I'll lay this out. I'll lay this out plainly. You were here earlier today.
Yep.
You witnessed the woman who was here before.
Yep.
That Cyrus mentioned just a moment ago, and you know that she seemed quite busy and bothered by the end of your visit. And now she is not here. I don't know if you want to do anything with that, but I want to make sure that you know that your character knows this information and finds it interesting.
I do, but my character doesn't have any... We got so many pressing things right now, I'm not really too concerned about the going about the Mages Guild.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel that has a huge impact on my character.
That's fine.
I suppose I would, though, at least ask what happened to her, because just, like, if she was on break, or if there might be something they need help with, because, I mean, Cyrus doesn't have anything to do in the city at the moment.
Alright, well, this is what's going on during the 3 minutes that he's gone. So if you want to direct that to him, I'm about to reintroduce him, but I'm trying to give you a moment to talk to each other during the time that he's gone. So is that something you're asking Yuki?
I suppose I'd probably direct it to Laromendis, but if he wants
Okay,
to say something, he can.
What exactly do you ask me?
Do you know if the girl who was here previously would just be, like, on break, or there could be a particular reason why she might be missing? She seemed kind of busy, or at least distracted.
I mean, if she was busy, then it might have been that something pressing had come up, needing her to step away. I mean, there could be many things going on. I don't know how often they need to post a sign saying that they're short-staffed, but
just not often. I'd imagine you see the archmage going to run and answer his own door.
I feel like if we hadn't mentioned that we have residuum, the residuum is a very interesting item for archmages.
Had you actually mentioned before this that you had said that in the sending?
Oh, no. I don't think so. Laromendis just, like, so he stood outside, and then Laromendis sent, and then, like, a minute later, the guy shows up and like, out of breath.
Okay.
So, yeah. Oh, yes, I told him that I wanted to trade residuum for the focus that I'm looking for.
That would make things make a bit more sense.
Alright. the 3 minutes elapses, and he returns, bearing a pouch in his hand that it's a little smaller than a baseball. It is made of this like fine silk material, and you can see that there is it's been stitched shut. It's not like tied. It doesn't have an open end. It has been stitched on both ends. And he places it, looking very much like a little bean bag, on the counter.
Most expensive hacky sack you will ever see.
And you can see that the silk has been embroidered on one side. He sets it down, shows it to you, turns it over, as though for your inspection. On one side, it's just got a very simple embroidering of what looks to be a cut jewel done in red thread. So just very plainly, ruby.
Yeah.
Conveys this message well. And on the back side, it says in Draconic that it contains intrinsic value 1,500 GP worth of ruby dust as a spell component, and use with caution kind of thing. Just like a bunch of warnings and such in Draconic embroidered onto it, very carefully hand sewn. Needle pointed, cross stitched, whatever.
Laromendis is going to pull out the bag of residuum.
And you see him kind of lean in, and he quickly waves a hand next to his head and murmurs something quickly in Draconic that you're not familiar with, at least as on its own. And a ball of light appears in the air next to him, similar to dancing lights, but only a single one and shedding bright light.
Okay.
Do I find that interesting, what he said in Draconic?
Yeah, he basically said, by the power of the scale, give me light.
You'll hear Kaze say that.
He, kind of looks up as you make this noise, and the expression on his face says, "You're distracting me from something important." What?
No. I'll just be wave. It's oh, nothing.
He blinks.
That doesn't seem unreasonable for a spell.
It is not at all unreasonable for a spell, but it is not a formulation for a spell that you're familiar with.
Cool.
Well, it's just that for me, I'm not magically inclined, so I just find it interesting for the...
Yeah, and that's reasonable and fine. For Laromendis, it is not outstanding as incantations for spells go, but it is not one that you recognize, and the result is not one that you recognize. It seems to just be swirling energy in a very lightish blue, giving a pretty pure white light off.
Nice.
Like a surgical lamp, very clean white light.
Laromendis makes a mental note to ask about that after the exchange is all handled.
Yes. And this bobs, not unlike Ash, by his head as he looks down. Ash, I imagine, also still shedding light.
Yeah, I think they would probably be dim light.
Okay.
So it's not blinding, but...
That's fine. This is bright light, so it is now brightly lit with ash is usually a golden color. This is, as I said, kind of a piercing, LED blue kind of light. and
He's steady.
you see him kind of wringing his hands a little in anticipation as you, like, undo the knot on this pouch. And he finally remarks and says, I see that you have come and gotten some of our reagent pouches.
Yes, it was most useful. We were splitting up the residuum that we have amongst some of our spellcasters.
I recognize the craftsmanship. I'm glad they're serving you well. And finally,
So he'll say, "How much are you aware of how it's functioning?"
Nalia has told me next to nothing. I know that it is distilled, purified, manifested magic power, and I have been left to imagine what one can do with it.
I am unsurprised that she was so quiet about it.
She was quite busy at the time that we spoke.
So, we have seen it used in place of reagents for spells, and both arcane and divine. And it was also quite useful in enchanting magic items, which is something that Nalia would be able to go into much more detail than I can. Although I can discuss the basics of the rituals for enchanting and disenchanting, if you are so inclined.
I am inclined. This is more control than our mages have been able to master in 1,000 years. I would like to know more about it, so whatever you pay me, and I will accept this as payment, because I will be able to study it. So how much have you got there in weight? Since he's now leaned in, and the glowing light above him is pouring into it, illuminating the whole inside of the bag, and he can see very plainly that there is a layer of fine powder.
So I guess
it was like one sixth of 2.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Half a pound.
How much? Basically, what do I think a gram of it is worth, essentially?
Well, you know that a half a pound, or that 1 pound, is worth 500,000, I believe.
Oh yeah, because that was a full pouch, wasn't it? Was the half a pound?
You have a half. You have 1/10 of 1/2 a pound, or 1/6 of 1/2 pound. You have about 1/10 of a pound.
Okay.
So you've got 50,000 gold worth in there. In 1/10 of 1 pound, and if you want a gram, that's whatever 2 thousandths or 1/500th.
The numbers aren't actually super important.
They're not, but it's like 1/500th of what you've got in there. So that's a couple of grains or a few grains. It's like a pinch of grains. So
I'll explain what I know about the weight of it to its use in magic, in numbers that I am fairly confident in.
Well, it's just one more thing that proves the old theorem that the intrinsic value of an item is the amount of magic that it can be broken into. Why market values of these things don't really matter. We can charge more or less for something, but it still powers spells in the same way. It sounds like this is the ultimate elixir.
As refined as I am aware of it being able to go, I would. And speaking to we actually when we discovered it, we spoke with someone from another plane, who was much more familiar with the substance, and it seemed to match fairly well to what he had possessed from his plane. And given the types of magic that he was doing, I think that it would be difficult for us to go any more refined than this.
Kind of looks as the plane of fire.
No, he was an Eladrin from who spent most of his time in some other world.
Plane of air?
Not the Feywild either.
From my understanding, a different material plane.
Oh.
He was able to be banished and
By his own
not
children.
show up after the minute had passed. So he went somewhere.
There are theories about this. Very little evidence. Proof non-existent. But very well, you spoke with someone from another material plane. Okay, yeah, alright, I will choose to accept that for now, as I don't have a way of proving or disproving it. So I'm a person, a man, an Eladrin, from another material plane, different material plane, explained the uses of residuum to you.
As well as the basics of the enchanting and disenchanting ritual, which we'll talk about.
He had a
shortly.
ritual for it.
Yes.
And this ritual just, poof, you have a magic item.
Out of character, it required a base item, or did it just create something?
It generally infused whatever residual magic you had into an existing item to make that item magic.
Cool. It would take something that was existing and make it magic. So I have a pair of boots and a residuum, and then now I have magic boots and no residuum.
Yes, I will want you to tell me as much about this as you can in very concise and specific words, he says as he fumbles behind the desk and pulls out a thing that looks like a journal and flips it open, starts thumbing pages through. Mm-hmm.
Laromendis has gotten very used to, at this point, going through this whole spiel, and now we'll completely forgetting that the actual transaction is not yet complete. We'll launch into it.
Good. You all are stuck here for about an hour, I suppose you're not, in fact, stuck. But Laromendis is going to be explaining this for about an hour to this guy. The ins, the outs, everything he understands, and constantly making note that Nalia can explain this far better than I can, as this is her field of expertise.
Once it looks like he's not gonna, let off steam for a while, run out of steam for a while, I'll remind him that I think there was a bit more he was wanting to do before we were finished here.
But he eagerly takes notes.
Looks confused.
He eagerly takes notes on everything you say, and Theron, when Cyrus tries to interrupt, seems very upset that he's trying to take you away while you're giving him such good information.
I'm not trying to take him away. I'm just trying to make sure I'm just trying to pop a reminder, and that's as far as it goes. He can do what he wants with the info.
Does Laromendis realize that you're telling him to finish the transaction first? No.
Okay. So
it's I don't. What?
I throw up my hands and find a place to sit.
The world's most.
Where was I? I rolled a 2 on die.
The world's most expensive hacky sack sits upon the desk, moldering, wallowing in its loneliness.
If there's you know what? I'll pick that up as I go to find a place to sit. I'll pick it up and hand it to Laromendis, that is.
Laromendis, oh, yes.
You haven't paid for that yet.
And then puts it down, and then goes back into what he was talking about.
Okay, I
Back on
tried.
the desk.
Just gonna.
It was a valiant effort.
It's like, this is a distraction, I'm putting it down. Alright, so, where was I? So yeah, you go, and you go some more. And when you're finally done, Theron is finishing off these notes. He says, excellent, this is excellent, I can work well with this. Now I just need some residuum.
Right. He looks at the hacky sack and is like, that was why we were here.
Yes, that's correct. You are giving me residuum.
So I imagine that we should weigh out some amount that will be a fair deal for the ruby dust.
As it may be entirely unsurprising to you, I have a scale, and it's very accurate. And he, again, brushes aside the curtain behind the counter and heads back, and you hear a crash, and God damn it!
Then there's the sound of
Are
a
you
mending,
okay?
and then...
Do you need some help?
It's fine. Urza will clean it up later.
Is that the girl that was here earlier?
Yes, do you know where she's gone?
I was gonna ask you. She seemed very distracted when I was here.
Well, one can tell that just by looking at the state of this, your clang place. The curtain gets thrust aside, and the rings holding it to the strings slide all the way across, so it just stays open. You can see it's just a mess of of jars and bottles and scrolls and all over these like envelope shelves behind him. I've got the scale, and he sets it gently down upon the desk, and takes out a very fine little feathered duster, like with a single feather on it, and dusts off each of the plates, and then goes about dusting each of the weights at its base. It's all right. Now, I don't know the intrinsic magical value of your residuum. We know the intrinsic magical value of this ruby dust is 1500 GP. Now, how much residuum did you say you have? Actually, forget that. Give me the sack, please. Yes.
He does.
Yeah. He places it on the scale, thinks about it a second, takes it off the scale, turns back toward the open curtain, sighs, just begins
gets a bag,
shuffling things across the way, out of his way, grabs a bag, places it on the scale, adds weights until it tears, takes the bag off, puts yours back on, and then groups the weights, the tear weights to one side and starts adding weights until he figures it out. Okay, there we go. You have, I'm not doing the math, but he's going to give you a very precise number. He's giving you a very precise number. Like, to 3 decimal places.
Excellent.
Do you know how much magic you can perform with this by any chance? How much have you been able to experiment?
I know... I give him the rough estimate of it, which I think my rough estimate is probably that it's about 50,000 gold worth of magic.
I do believe that you were given the exchange rate by Naravar. Of course, this assumes that the gold exchange rate between your two dimensions is the same, but of course it is. Oh
yeah, so I guess I would say that. I would tell him what Naravar had told me, and
of course he's not going to assume that the exchange rates are the same, and he's going to say, "Okay, that's an incredible baseline." What?
I had thought that we might spend a little bit of this in a little bit of an experiment, since you have a very fine scale. and try casting something with it.
Okay.
And seeing the difference in the weight.
It is excellent that you have a baseline number then, because we can at least verify it.
Do you want to make your ever-burning torch not stick anymore?
I'm thinking about that.
50 gold. I guess at 3 decimal places, 50 gold could be appreciable.
That was the other thing. I was just like, I don't think 50 gold is actually worth it. I don't know off the top of my head numbers well enough for spells that are reasonable to assume one of us has prepared and
Horse cage?
Well, so we are not positive. In character, I don't know that we can use Residuum as a focus that burns. And
Could
that's
be.
not a thing that I would want to try.
Okay, fine. You find a spell of appreciable value. You're not able to cast Hero's Feast, are you? That's divine.
Yeah, I
Like, that costs 1,000. Also, it needs a focus.
Teleportation Circle is also only 50 gold.
God damn it.
I thought it was 100. I think Teleportation Circle is my only one that I have prepared that has a cost associated with it that is not a focus.
Alright, we will cast it a number of times so that we are getting an average once we have determined what has been removed.
That is reasonable.
Okay, here we go. I think that if you believe you have about 50,000 there, and I say 500 is a reasonable enough fraction of that we can be sure that our numbers are accurate. So we will cast it 10 times. How long does it take to cast? 6 seconds, right?
Teleportation Circle is around, yeah.
Okay. So, you spend 1 minute, no, less than a minute, 1 minute casting this thing, as he makes you cast it 10 times. And then he has written down, of course, the exact number that he had, and then he adjusts the weights and writes down the new number. And verifies that not only are the exchange rates between the two dimensions...
It's not around. It is a minute. It's not around.
Okay, you spent 10
This
minutes.
takes a little bit longer, but...
Oh no, 10 minutes! Where will we get the time for telepathic bond?
It's true. At that point, we are running out of telepathic bond.
An
hour of talking with him.
Yeah.
And then 50 minutes of teleportation circle, so it will be over.
Okay. You didn't use your 2-hour telepathic bond?
I did, but we spent an hour chatting about Residuum.
Was there another hour spent? Because that's only an hour and 15. This is happening simultaneous to the other group who took about 2 hours.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. I was thinking 10 minutes per casting, but it is not a ritual.
No, 1 minute per casting.
I was thinking 50 minutes spent casting it 5 times, which is a different number.
No,
I
10
can
minutes.
math.
Yes, you got it. So, no, you still have...
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
Whatever. A little under an hour left. Maybe call it 40 minutes left on your 2 hours of telepathic bond.
Best use of the whatever it's called.
He verifies the whole exchange rate for you. You lose 500 GP worth of residuum.
Mark that off.
And he says, alright, well, we've verified that. I actually can attempt to extract exactly 1,500 GP worth out of this.
Excellent.
Because I can know the weight exactly. Perfect. So he does some quick calculations to figure out how much out of your sack 1,500 should cost, given what you started with and what you now have. He measures it out, he takes it, he's got this little fingertip of grains of this silvery dust. And he carefully, like with a fine sharp knife, is like scraping them off into a glass jar, making sure to capture every single one of them. Reverently folds and ties the sack and hands it back to you. And you notice that it takes effort for him to peel his eyes away from the sack after he gives it to you. And
especially once he knows how valuable it actually is.
Yeah, but finally he does, and he makes eye contact with you and says, "Please, if you have any further services the Mages Guild can offer that you would like to pay for with residuum, let me know."
I am unaware of anything at the moment, and I'm not sure how much time I'll be spending in the city to be able to copy some spells.
More's the pity.
But if the amount of time we're going to be here does change, I might be back to do some of that.
Okay. And I believe with that, you have done everything that you needed to do in the Mages Guild?
I think so. Oh. Cyrus?
I was gonna ask one or two more follow-up questions about the apprentice, or whatever she is, whose name I keep forgetting.
Urza.
Mine got muffled a bit at the start of that. What was it?
Urza.
Urza, okay. And that's, how long has Urza been gone?
I am not entirely sure, at least. The last, hour, maybe, or so, more, or however long we spent talking, plus about an hour.
Does she disappear like this often?
No. She's usually very reliable. Why? What do you think has happened?
I'm used to assuming the worst. And so when people disappear with no notice and it's not normal for them, I like to ask questions.
Well, what's the worst? I can imagine a lot, but not in a city. Not in this city, not in this guild. What are you suggesting?
I don't know. Oh, no, I have an idea.
Is
Have you
it
heard
some...
of the true heirs of magic?
What?
Why would they come for a wizard?
Why would a fairy tale come for a wizard?
They're not a fairy tale. They had me by the neck once.
You are...
We did come across a group of people using that name, and with
and they
very
had blue
dangerous
hands
magical
and
equipment.
everything?
Out of character, yes, right?
Yes, they
Yeah,
had flame-shaped tattoos all over their hands, making their hands look entirely blue.
I described that.
He is definitely shut up by this description.
I cast a minor image. This is what it looked like. But again, that doesn't answer why they would come for a wizard.
The stories all said they wanted people who were bursting with magic. We don't burst with magic, we control the magic around us.
Well, you asked what the worst that could happen in a city was. That's so far the worst thing that's happened to me in a city.
Are you bursting with magic?
Depending on who you ask. I'm a sorcerer, a wizard.
Oh. Well, you're an unusual specimen then, aren't you?
A little bit.
How prominent are your dragon scales right now?
I would have them, same color as my skin.
So, not.
Yeah.
So... Sorcerer. That's cool. Well, if you see those true heirs of magic, maybe fuck them up.
That would generally be the idea. Just be careful. If they find out you have any of that, they'll likely try and take it from you.
The residuum?
I suppose if we came back here after I can get the focus from, or if we came back here tomorrow, we could ask her if she's not back. I say to Cyrus.
You gotta name that spell, man.
I do. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with historical lens.
Okay.
I like that. That's a good one.
So Laromendis' historical lens.
Sure. Let's write that down.
I can't do it today because I haven't prepared it, but come back in the morning and see if she's around.
Sure. That certainly gives things enough time to not qualify as overreacting. I would say.
I think, dude, does Laromendis? No. I rolled a 1. Laromendis doesn't turn to explain any of this.
No, he has no reason. No, you're just like, you can ask her. The only thing that he does look confused, and it's because you said, we can ask her if she's not back.
Yeah, if she's not back tomorrow, we can ask her.
Yeah. It's just like, okay.
Laromendis doesn't think about this. I rolled a 1.
He's not.
Spell, I'm not spilling the beans.
He's not prying. All right.
At that point, he turns and says, I suppose I'll be back in the morning, and we can try and see if she hasn't come back, what happened to her.
Very good.
I will clarify one point into why I said they might be after that residuum. After I ask one question to them. Didn't Nalia say that the collar could possibly be used to make more?
Are you asking me or asking Lair?
I'm asking the DM. I'm asking you, Tristan.
Yes, she did.
I'd say they were in possession of a device that Nalia was under the impression it could make more of that at the cost of a sorcerer's life. And if they've been making some, I doubt they'd want to share this discovery.
I hadn't expected that they were actually using it to make residuum. I thought it was doing something else, and it just functioned in a similar way. But that would be interesting.
I'll up with Alia. I'm sure I'll get more information from her if I need it. Seems not to be talking directly to you, but about you.
Fair enough.
Colors.
Probably expects I'm a wild magic sorcerer. I don't want to disabuse him of that.
If there's no further business for which you'll be spending residuum here, I have a lot of work to attend to in Urza's absence.
I'm ready to leave.
Good luck with your work.
Thank you. And thank you for the notes.
I'm happy to share.
I suspect we're on the verge of a renaissance in magic, if this information is getting as widely spread as it seems. And with
I have
great minds.
Personally shared it with people at the university, with you, Nalia, and with a few of the temples of Ione in some of the capital cities.
He nods and says, yes, it did seem like you were quite free with the information, as opposed to Nalia, who is, focused. In the event. As I said, got all the great minds of magic focused on this now. At least hers and mine, and that's not nothing. So, I expect we are not far off from some very interesting discoveries. Thank you. Truly.
I look forward to seeing what the future holds.
We're about to be living in interesting times. Alright, with that, we're over time.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we'll have to come back to the lodge next time. Alright, so you were gonna do your sending next time, and I'm talking to Vendar right now. Yeah, there's some good stuff coming. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Alright, so what you should probably do before next session is get your sending worded. You get 25 words.
Okay.
That way we can, like, start with that.
Will do.
Alright, sweet. So I just need a mini from Sam, and then everybody will be updated.
I have the spell prepared. Because I have 20 out of 21. Because I couldn't prepare it. I could come back today. I would have given accurate information, so I would say that I could come back tonight and we could find it. If she hasn't returned, then we could ask her instead of tomorrow morning. But
hate this.
I like how I rolled twice today. I got a 2 and then a 1.
Alright, so with that, I will end the stream. Bye, stream!
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.